Welcome back, guys. Today has been a disastrous day for the modern audience. We're talking multiple L's that they've taken today, and I'm just looking at all this news thinking, where should we even start? I guess we can begin here. Over at that Park Place, they report Konami deletes post announcing Silent Hill 2 Remake was designed for modern audiences. At the end of May, Konami published a post on X that has since been deleted, where it announced, "See how the Bloober team devs working on Silent Hill 2 preserved authenticity while adapting a horror classic for modern audiences." And just for the record, yeah, if you've never seen that tweet before, it's right here on screen, and you wouldn't be able to find it on their Twitter anymore either because, as reported, they have recently decided to delete that tweet. Over on Steam, the Silent Hill 2 remake seems to be debuting to overwhelmingly positive reviews, making it even more interesting that Konami's decided that they don't want this game associated with a modern audience after all. That takes us to techforgamers.com and a poll that they wrote an article about here that says over 95% of players don't consider inclusivity important in gaming. Story highlights. Let's take a look. A recent poll indicates that over 95% of players don't care about inclusivity in games. Forcing inclusivity in video games has been a known culprit leading to failure. DE&I has become an unfortunate trend that has gradually been gaining more pace. Yeah, at the same time though, there's recently been a lot of setbacks for DEI stuff in gaming, and outside of gaming, there's been similar setbacks going on since around like 2023. Also, the public at large seems much more aware of the issues with DEI and ESG related initiatives, and how corporations often just use them as some sort of shield. Basically all like, oh hey guys, we really care about these social issues. Don't pay any attention to how greedy and corrupt we actually are. Back at the article, they say inclusivity is an unfortunate trend that has picked up in the industry over the past few years. While having characters of different origins isn't anything bad, forcing a narrative is. Most fans share the opinion, as 95% of gamers voted they don't care about inclusivity in gaming in a recent poll. Why it matters. Inclusivity has emerged as a proven culprit that ruins an entire game. We have had some clear examples in the last few years, including Concord, SSK the JL, and more, and the backlash from the fans was quite apparent. They then go on to show an image of the poll, and while it's not the biggest sample size, let's see what they say here. Subtext reads, over 95% of gamers vote against inclusivity in a new poll on NeoGAF. Now, inclusivity isn't a bad thing at all. In fact, it's always good to see characters from different origins, genders, and races in a game. But what's offsetting is the forced inclusion narrative that pushes political agendas into gaming. Oh gosh, Concord jump scare right there. Continuing, they say, for context, SSK the JL introduced Miss Freeze in its last season. The character has, excuse me, this freaking way this character is looking at me, dude, with the side eye. The character has a huge history in comics, movies, and TV shows, and has always been Victor Fries or Mr. Freeze. The idea of changing that attracted a lot of criticism. Forced inclusivity was never a problem a few years ago, ever since consultation companies like Sweet Baby Inc. emerged. This unfortunate trend has been forced into the industry, ruining many great games. I think there's definitely been examples of forced inclusivity before SPI became prominent, and it's unwise to put all the blame on the consultation firms. When these corporations are willingly hiring these consultation firms, when you put all the blame on the consultation firms, it takes away from the responsibility of the executives, of management, etc., when they really should all be getting criticism for how they're ruining games, at least in my opinion. Continuing, they say, Sweet Baby has a bunch of notable names working with it, including Santa Monica, Xbox Game Studios, Warner Brothers, Ubisoft, and more. The influence is quite visible in their recent titles as well. Square Enix should be appreciated for being pulled out of the list. The Square Enix thing is actually really interesting. As we talked about a few months back, there was this news being reported that during a Q&A, an investor or investors were approaching Square with concerns about their association to SPI, which we could see an example of in this tweet, where the question was presented, I'm personally happy about the shift from quantity to quality. I hope good titles will come out in the future. I'm concerned about the Canadian consulting company Sweet Baby. Square Enix is listed as a client, but is there actually a transaction there? What kind of transaction is it? And so Kiryu actually responded to that. To my recollection, he used to be a director over at Square, and now he's the current president. And so he says, I would like to refrain from making specific comments about individual clients. As we shift from quantity to quality, providing content that is enjoyable and safe for our customers is also part of what makes a product fun. We will do our best as creators. So we kind of dodged the question there. However, a week or two ago, we also talked about this news that, yeah, over on Sweet Baby Inc.'s website, they no longer have Square listed as a client. Now that said, on the FF7 remake, hit detection was listed in the credits, hit detection being a different consultation firm. Considering how Square was working with Sweet Baby Inc., though, it's still very amusing that they decided they don't want to be associated with that consultation firm anymore. The article ends with this. One of Sweet Baby's employees even admitted that the company's goal is to burn the industry to the ground, indicating a massive threat to the gaming industry. Nonetheless, this trend needs to stop. Otherwise, we'll see a lot more big budget games fail poorly. Well, hey, if these corporations, if these corpos want to keep embracing this fake virtue signal-y stuff, I suppose they can have their cake and eat it too. In the meantime, the indie scene can keep on winning. So I thought it would be fun to go to that NeoGAF poll and take a look at some of the responses that it's getting. Once again, the poll inquires, is inclusion important to you in video games? With 5% voting yes and 95% voting no. Total votes 745. Starting with this one at the top, I'll just read a portion of this, but it got 28 reactions, and as you can see, most people seem to be giving it a thumbs up. So it says, to be honest, I do not give a rat's behind about what race or gender of the player I play as. Make it a good freaking game and I'll play it. The story is a big part of the experience. However, when they force this inclusion ideas down our throat, it's obvious and becomes cringy or detracts from the story. Another post reading, speaking as a brown guy who comes from a non-Christian background. Nope, doesn't affect me at all. My opinion on this is that if I don't like something or if I get offended, I just don't watch, play, or read it, and I don't think it should be banned. My 2 cents. In today's world, inclusivity actually means intentionally divisive and add stuff to games so we can check a box and pound our chest to tell people how much we care. I just want good games. Yeah, in my opinion, it comes off like fake virtue signal nonsense. For example, we used to have plenty of beloved female characters in gaming, and these companies didn't make a big deal about it. It was just authentic. And nowadays, these companies try and make a huge deal about it, and we end up with slop like Forspoken. Another comment says, nope. I want developers to develop games based on their ideas for story and the world that they are creating, not a checklist to try and appease every crowd. We play games to escape the BS of everyday life. Make games fun again. And moving on to the third piece of news here. This one's going to be real quick, but it's great news, guys. Wonderful news. The plague known as Velma apparently won't be returning for a season 3. I'm shocked it even got a season 2, but hey, at least the abomination is gone, and Thorn has officially been avenged. You can see on the left what they did to her in season 2, and what were they thinking, man? Taking a beloved character like Thorn and turning her into that. People celebrating the news with this meme, and also posting things like, the world is healing. It's no mystery why this happened, that's for sure, and this news is overdue. And I'll leave it there. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my coverage, and if you did, please consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one.